Disney's Encanto came out in 2021, notably with its primary female protagonist Mirabel Madrigal. Mirabel stands out for multiple reasons. Her Colombian background adds with Coco to help create more than one Latina movie in the Disney arsenal. But what was particularly interesting about Mirabel was that she was the first Disney female protagonist to wear glasses. Personally, I find this amazing. As someone who wears glasses herself and has since I was a very small young child, I would have loved to have been given such a beautiful, bespectacled protagonist to enjoy when I was very little. But Mirabel's glasses go beyond nice representation for those of us less visibly able. Her glasses point us as viewers to one of the most important aspects of Mirabel and one of the primary themes of the movie. Throughout the movie, Mirabel's amazing skill is shown, her ability to see the stories of others. And when I say she sees them, I mean this both literally, in terms of how we see the animation, and figuratively. She truly gives space to those around her, allowing them to be able to express themselves in ways they have previously felt unable to, allowing their stories to shine and be seen and to be understood. Mirabel's glasses show us how important it is to see those around us, and it's through this ability to simply see and listen to those around her that she is able to heal the trauma that is plaguing her family. Encanto revolves around a family touched by magic. As Mirabel explains to us, and some village kids, in the opening song, ever since her abuela established the town, her 3 kids and each of their kids have been given a gift, a magical ability that comes to fruition when they turn 5 years old. Peppa, Mirabel's aunt, was given the ability to control weather with her emotions. Peppa's daughter Dolores can hear pretty much anything at a very great distance, and her son Camilo can shapeshift into anybody. Mirabel's mother, Julieta, heals through food. Mirabel's sister, Isabel, can grow flowers, and her other sister, Luisa, is super strong. There's also Bruno, but for now we won't talk about Bruno. The movie starts with Peppa's youngest child, Antonio, coming of age to get his gift. However, Mirabel has her own personal trauma surrounding the gifting ceremony. When she turned 5 and had her own ceremony, the magical door, which would eventually lead to her magical room, very slowly disappeared, leaving her with nothing. This moment of disappointment and confusion was witnessed by her own family and her whole town. Her feelings of letting everyone down felt justified in this, and is a lot to take on as a 5-year-old. Since this event, Mirabel is quite literally kept out of view. During her cousin's ceremony, the whole family is gathered out by the doors and with the villagers, but Mirabel is in the shadows, hidden behind a curtain. She's relegated to continue to live in the nursery despite being a teenager. When the whole family gathers to take a family photo at Antonio's ceremony, Mirabel is not allowed in the photo. In fact, it's not until Mirabel steps out of this role that the plot of the movie begins to actually tick forward. While hiding behind the curtain, Antonio's fear of his impending ceremony consumes him, and he asks for her to join him. When she does, it makes a statement. The estranged Madrigal family member stepping out of the literal shadows and into the spotlight. It shines a direct light and brings attention to the disappointing member of the family, the one without a gift. This is because Mirabel moved from being hidden to being seen. Her story is suddenly on display. As she moves up the stairs with Antonio, she relives her own trauma of her ceremony, and once again is doing so in front of everyone. She reenacts her story actively in the spotlight, being seen. Seeing stories is a regular occurrence and refrain in Encanto. In fact, one of the very first lines of the movie is Abuela saying, "Open your eyes." The line of opening eyes is said throughout the movie by many people, including Abuela and Mirabel. During her song Waiting on a Miracle, Mirabel sings "Open your eyes" directly to Abuela. Mirabel also hears Abuela asking for her late husband Pedro to open my eyes. By stepping out from the darkness, even if it is in the earnest wish to simply help out Antonio, Mirabel is directly forcing eyes to be opened. And this focus on seeing as a way of hearing and understanding others and their positions is exactly how Mirabel moves throughout the movie. After seeing that her family could be in danger and its magic that holds up her family potentially waning, she decides to set out to heal the rift of the magic in hopes that this will heal the rift between herself and her family. And she does exactly that by doing two things: by listening and seeing their stories. Being the outsider, Mirabel has grown to truly understand the strengths and weaknesses of each member of her family. She sees the roles they play, how they learn, and how they grow from each of them. She picks up on the issues of Luisa, noticing her eye twitching, which points to Luisa having some kind of problem. Even though Luisa at first pushes Mirabel away, Mirabel proves that she is willing to listen and won't be deterred. This leads to Luisa sharing with Mirabel the immense pressure she feels to always be the one helping. Luisa carries a lot of pressure on her shoulders and carries this weight of expectation as if it's the same as a piano to her. She's one of the only madrigals we see actively working on her gift and trying to improve it. We see a glimpse of her working out, trying to improve her strength mundanely, even if it is given to her supernaturally. Mirabel does something very important during Luisa's song Surface Pressure, something we'll see repeated often throughout the movie. She does not sing along. At no point does Mirabel join in the song. She doesn't harmonize, doesn't add her own thoughts. She simply listens, and she sees. The animation of the song shows visually how Luisa carries the town and her family on her back, and Mirabel watches it to such an extent that she's experiencing it right alongside her sister. And when the song is over, when Luisa is done sharing her issues, Mirabel responds not with words at first, but with a hug. And this is Mirabel's immense power. Her ability to see and hear and understand the people around her and know how to respond and how to take it all in. She doesn't offer comforting words or tell Luisa to just not stress so much. These are all platitudes which don't actually show a true understanding of the realities of the stress of expectation. She simply hugs her sister, showing through such a simple action that she does understand. She heard it. She sees it. She gets it. Mirabel uses this power also against almost the whole family when she begins to inquire about her long-lost uncle Bruno. The family refuses to talk about Bruno because his power of future sight caused a lot of problems. When the movie starts, we just get a quick moment of we don't talk about Bruno before things get brushed along. Later on, when Mirabel pushes, the same happens again. We don't talk about Bruno. But instead of just letting it go, she pushes. And like Luisa before, she shows that she's open to hearing. Almost immediately, the family opens up and shares their experiences of Bruno, openly complaining and laying their issues out for Mirabel to hear. Like Surface Pressure, Mirabel doesn't do a lot of singing on this track. She does a bit near the end when she laments having brought up Bruno in the first place. However, this lament doesn't really have to do with the information being given to her. Rather, it's the information she got separately from one of his visions. And Mirabel's part is only like 2 or 3 lines. The rest of the song is her family, each sharing their own experiences with Bruno that Mirabel actively listens to and sees. Mirabel's ability to see each character individually for who they are is actually reflected in the music itself. Each of the characters in Mirabel's family have their own style of music underscoring them. This is the most prominent in We Don't Talk About Bruno, when the layering of each person's piece is not only a layering of lyrics, but also of musical styling. The a cappella version of this is actually called a madrigal, like the family's name. I'm not going to get too much more into detail here on the different musical styling because I'm quite a novice at musical theater, but another video essayist has done quite a lot of work on the magic Lin-Manuel Miranda put into the musical styling of Encanto. The only exception to Mirabel's relative silence on the songs of others is What Else Can I Do? Mirabel's relationship with her sister Isabella is fraught at best. It's the classic discrepancy between the older perfect sister and the younger mess-up. Much of Mirabel's frustration with her growing estrangement from her family is funneled to her sister for her supposed perfection. Isabella has a beautiful power of growing flowers, has long envious hair, is beautiful, and is the first to possibly get married and therefore continue a new generation of madrigals. However, in What Else Can I Do, Isabella is surprised at having accidentally grown a cactus. She's surprised and pleased and begins to go on a frenzy of growing crazy, imperfect plants that she's never allowed herself to grow before. The process makes her messy and colorful, splashing her in strange bursts of brightness, which is in stark contrast to her typical pastels. Mirabel's joining of Isabella on this track is actually important, and it shows a difference in what is actually needed in the relationship between Isabella and Mirabel. If Mirabel were to remain silent and then simply hug, in the way that she did for Luisa, this would not do as much to heal Isabella as it was for her other sister. Here, Mirabel is able to slowly grow to understand the pressure her sister feels for being perfect, and that it was something she was actually having to actively work on rather than something which came natural to her. She begins to see the fierce pressure her sister feels and allows her this reveling release of the pressure in her moment of pure, unbridled joy. Through her joining on the song, Isabella is also able to see Mirabel differently and to understand the pressures Mirabel feels as being so ostracized. They heal their misunderstandings by sharing, which was something sorely needed. I also really enjoy this moment because I think it helps to shed different light on a previous view of Isabella. During We Don't Talk About Bruno, each character shares a negative reading Bruno gave them. When Isabella shows up, she sings what seems to be out of step with the others. She sings, instead of some dark omen, about how he predicted positive things for her, like how her power would grow like the flowers on the vine and she would achieve all the things she sets out for herself. It's not until listening to Isabella's song and also witnessing her absolute wild release that we learn that all she wanted to achieve doesn't actually reflect how she wishes she could live. The perfection she is promised is one she wishes she could escape from. So, while it initially seems out of step, we see how Bruno's seemingly positive foretelling of her future is actually quite the prison for her. And this is an important aspect of Mirabel's ability to see. While sometimes this is literal, like in her experience of Isabella's growing of odd plants and Luisa's pressure, it's something that runs far more deep. It involves actually hearing and understanding. It's all about understanding things at their natural core. Seeing another person is fully understanding them. It's not about agreeing or condemning. It's not about labeling as either positive or negative. It's more about empathizing. I think one of the things that's sometimes hard for people to grasp is the ability for someone to empathize with another's position without fully agreeing with them and thinking that they're right in all aspects. Seeing in the way of understanding is simply about fully realizing all the facets of a person and growing to understand why they do the things that they do. Perhaps the best example of this is Abuela's Story, another song that Mirabel does not sing on. In fact, Abuela does not sing on this one either. Rather, it's simply a song which plays while Mirabel actively sees what her grandmother went through. The song Dos Oruguitas plays while Mirabel watches, passively understanding and taking in the experiences, traumas, and tribulations of her grandmother. Despite her issues with her grandmother, she comes to understand why she reacts to things the way she does. Mirabel came to learn that a lot of Abuela's faults were coming from a place of fear. Like Isabella and Luisa, Mirabel embraces her grandmother. This hug does not excuse her grandmother's ostracization of both herself and her Uncle Bruno. It doesn't erase the pain that Mirabel experienced for 10 years, but it's a step to understanding and a movement towards forgiving. This is because truly seeing is non-judgmental. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just seeing things for what they are. Mirabel's ability to see the people around her for more than just their gift has another dimension. She also sees them for more than just their faults. She gives space for others, allows them to share their burdens and pains. She doesn't carry them or internalize them, but rather just allows them to exist. She gives space for them to talk. She pushes when she needs to, but she also listens. She gives them space to lean into her, to confide in her, to share their pain and passions in the form of their stories. And Mirabel simply sees them for who they are. And that is a special, magical gift.